Hello! So to answer some of your questions, the first one, how not to drop out of your artistic pursuit for a paid job. So I would say the most important thing when doing your own work is to make sure that it's very individual and it's really something you're really interested in and can dedicate the time to doing. I would say that quite often we do projects that we think we should do, so that we'll get a job from it. We think we need to be a certain way or make a certain type of work in order to get a job. And I think that often has the complete opposite effect, because what you're making is not original, and actually for a job in the sort of creative industry, it's about being very shamelessly individual and being very much your own unique thing. If anything, that makes you more desirable, I suppose. So I would say it's very much sticking to your own real passions and interests. And also bear in mind that the amount of paid work you do, if it's something you're not really interested in, it can eventually drain you artistically. So I would be wary. But I suppose it's a balance, really. So doing some paid work and then having time to do your own creative work. But I would always really try and preciously guard your time and your energy. Okay, next question. What is the basis of your filmmaking process? So I would say the basis of my process is always to do with experiences that I've had, or ideas that I'm really interested in, visual ideas I've been thinking about, always things that I'm very passionate about and really want to explore artistically. I think that's always where I start from. I'm also very motivated by a social ethos and making something that's in some way cathartic for others, in some way uplifting or useful. I very much make my work for an audience. Yes, it's about my own artistic interest, but I do make films for people to watch, so I'm always aware of that as well, and what's the message and why am I making this and why are these themes important. And so I think, yes, that's it. Very much it's based on my current interests and also on creating something that's in some way saying something about the current world that's in some way useful. Next question, how much do you plan before you begin to animate, and how much of that plan are you free when you're animating? So I would say that I always meticulously plan everything. So I have storyboards, an animatic, which is like a moving storyboard, and I'll plan out every single thing that's happening. If there's dialogue, I'll make X sheets and I'll plan the voice and exactly what actions are happening to the voice. I'll know all the designs, I'll know every single thing about every shot that I'm doing in great detail. So I would say very, very planned. But at the same time, you always get happy accidents and things that come up and that you have to react to. So to give an example, in the bigger picture, there's a moment where the cling film is going round and then it changes speed and goes much faster. That was never planned, but we missed out a couple of frames and we thought it was a big disaster, but then we went with it and just continued to animate, and then later made a music cue there. So it felt as though it was intentional and actually works very well. So I think sometimes these things come up and you go with them, but I would always say to overly plan. And then in a way, by being extremely methodical and having planned everything, it allows you to be free when you animate, because you know that you've given yourself the best chance of keeping on track and to schedule, and you're not going to have any really unexpected things come up that could throw you off because you really have thought them through. And quite often, if you try and think of things spontaneously, they're not quite as good as when you've really planned something. But obviously that doesn't mean lose the energy, but it means that you know what you're doing and can therefore in a way take some risks when you get to it. So I would say I overplan and then try and bring energy and life to what I'm making.